guys, I'm Nicole and welcome to my channel. I'm so glad you're here with me today. Today I'm going to talk to you guys about a few things, some of the things that's going on in my life, as well as why I've decided to not let fear have a hold on me. I'm not going to be afraid of the future or of the news or stuff like that anymore. I'm going to try my very best not to be. And I'm going to talk a little bit about why we shouldn't be fearful and who we should be trusting in instead. I hope you guys have had a really good week and a very good weekend. Not too long ago, my family, we took a day trip to Nashville, which was, I guess, a little over 2.5 hours from home, maybe close to 3 hours from home on the way back, because my oldest son, who is 19, he wanted to go to a bluegrass convention, and it was just kind of an expensive convention if he was to actually go for like the full 4 days or however long it was. And so we told him we'll drive him up for one day and then we will try to figure out what to do around the Nashville area. He doesn't have his own vehicle yet, and so instead of him taking my husband's truck, we just decided to all go up and see what we could get into in Nashville. And it was a really fun day. I will say it was a long day and I was really glad to get home by the time we got back home. But after we dropped him off, we decided to go to the Gaylord Opryland Resort because I had never been there before and I'd heard about the boat ride in the resort. And that has been something, I guess, probably I heard about it a decade ago or something like that. Ever since I heard about it, it's something that I've wanted to do. It's kind of been one of those bucket list items for me. And so we went and did that. When we got there though, we pulled into the parking lot and then we realized that parking is $33. And so I started frantically looking at my phone, trying to find a different way or place for us to park because that's just a little steep and I didn't want to have to pay $33 if we didn't have to pay $33. And there's a mall like adjacent to the property and we figured out a place that we could park at the mall, and then there's like a walkway to walk over to the resort, which was great, but we still got a little lost trying to figure out our way in. We weren't sure exactly which entrance we were supposed to go into, and there were locked doors, and we just weren't sure if it was even gonna work. But finally, we made our way in, and it was so beautiful. I loved looking at the gardens. I will say that the boat ride was a little more than it had said it was gonna be online. I don't know if I actually was looking at the resort's website though. I might have just been looking at TripAdvisor or something like that. It was $15 per person, which was pretty expensive for our large family to do, but we did it and we got a picture, and I bought the picture because everybody was looking at the camera, and so it was really fun. And then afterwards we walked around all the gardens in the resort, and that is such a beautiful place it is beautiful. It was really, really fun for me. That was probably the highlight of the day for me. And then afterwards we took the kids to the Rainforest Cafe, which was in the mall right there next to the resort, and we hadn't been there, I don't know, it's probably been about 7 years. Not that location, but we've been to the Rainforest Cafe up near Niagara Falls and in Orlando. And my youngest kids have not had the chance to do that ever, and so I know Rainforest Cafe isn't cheap either, but I told my husband that it was just going to be something special for me if like the little kids could have a chance to experience it too. And it was so much fun. We got in there like right close to their opening, so we didn't have to wait long to get a table. And Moses and Mabry, they loved it. My 3 and 6-year-old, they were just enthralled. My 3-year-old was a little nervous whenever the thunderstorms would come every 30 minutes or so. And I think my other girls too, they were like not even 1 and 2, I think, when we last went to Rainforest Cafe, Mallory and McKinley, and they really liked it too. And so it was a really fun thing for us all to do. And honestly, by that time, I was almost like, I'm good, but I'm done. But we still had more time before we needed to pick up my son. And so we went to a museum in downtown Nashville, and it was a free, Tennessee museum, and it's mainly, I guess, history. And so that was a fun experience, and it was absolutely free. It might have been the Tennessee State Museum. I can't quite remember what it was called, but we parked close to a farmer's market, and we didn't go into the farmer's market, but it was nice. It was a nicer part of town, and so we did that. And then we tried to drive to a park just for a little bit of playtime, and that park did not work out. So then my husband and my other son went into Bass Pro Shops for a little bit. At that point, I just stayed in the car. I was tired, and we still had a long way to get home, but it all was fine. It worked out great, and I knew that this was something very special for my son. My son who likes to play the banjo and the guitar and mandolin, and he teaches it, and he has a YouTube channel, which I'll try to link that below too, but he is doing so well with all these things, and he just really, really loves it. And so I knew it was something important to him, and even though it was going to be a long day for us, I wanted us to try to do it. And so we did, and that was really, it was a fun day. Like, looking back now, I'm like, that was a really fun day. It was a long day, but it was a fun day. Then we got up the next morning, and my husband and I and my 21-year-old daughter went to a local park to run. My husband and I were training for a half marathon, and it is going good. On this particular run, we ran 10 miles, which is the longest that we have ran so far. And honestly, I did really good until we got to about the 7-mile mark or so. And what we were doing is every 3 to 4 miles, we were stopping for just a minute to get a sip of water, and I would eat a few little bunny graham crackers, because I know it's important to fuel your body when you're running, and it's really good to do probably every 30 minutes or every like 3 to 4 miles. And so we were just trying to do it about every 3 to 4 miles. And the first time we stopped, it was great. We started running again. The second time we stopped, it's like as soon as I stopped, I was fine. But then like my whole body just tightened up. Like every muscle in my body got stiff. I was like, oh no. And so I started like trying to like shake it out and everything, and I did, but those last 3 miles were kind of hard, but we did it. And so that was fun. It really was. I mean, I was very excited that I did it. Our half marathon now is coming up the beginning of March, and so we were getting very close. And my daughter, who came to run with us, she ran probably about 3.5 miles with us, and she is signed up to do a 5K at the same location the same day. So it's going to be really fun to have like kind of a family running day somewhat anyway. So that was fun, but it was really tiring after being in the car and going to Nashville all day, and then leaving to run first thing in the morning, like 8 o'clock in the morning the next day, 10 miles. And so like the rest of the day, I was on the couch. Oh, guys, like the tops of my feet hurt. I've never had the tops of my feet hurt, and they hurt for a few days, and I was just so stiff. And my husband was so stiff, but he kept on working on our fireplace area. He was so sweet that he was still doing that, even though I know he felt just as bad as I did. And it was just a nice day at home where we just all relaxed and rested and watched TV and played games and stuff like that. And so that was a really nice, restful day after spending the day in Nashville. So anyway, before I end this video, I'd like to talk just a little bit about fear and how we don't need to let fear kind of just overtake us, overtake our emotions. I know I am very prone to anxiety. I've always been a very anxious person. This is something I've worked through my whole entire life. I've even had panic attacks whenever I was, I don't know, I was probably about 26 or 27 years old. I went to the emergency room, one time with a panic attack because I didn't know what was going on, but it was just a panic attack. And so it's something that I have worked through, and praise the Lord, He has helped me, and I've done so much better. But I know over these past few years, there's just been so many things that everyone has had to be worried about, not just, let alone what's going on in our own little families, but just worldwide, there's things that we have to be concerned about. And then it seems like the news kind of slows down or settles down, and then something else will happen, and then there'll be all these headlines, all these food shortage headlines, and just, you need to prepare headlines, and just these scary things. And I think for the most part, goodness, I don't know exactly how to explain it, but I think for the most part, well, the important thing is that we just trust in the Lord. We need to know that He holds this whole world in His hands, and nothing can happen unless He allows it to happen. And having that knowledge has helped me a lot to just kind of look past those attention-grabbing headlines and that fear that tries to creep in. And I know it's kind of discouraging to me because there are several like YouTube channels that I used to really enjoy watching, And now it's a lot of fear mongering, it seems like, or it's just, all these conspiracies, or um, it's like they used to be just about a big variety of things, and now the entirety of the channel was just about prepping, or, just about all the just events going on. And honestly, a lot of times when I go to YouTube, um, you know, I go for, well, knowledge, to get knowledge from things, like to learn new skills. I will go like for that type of thing, and also for entertainment sometimes. And it's just whenever you go to a channel that you're used to watching and really enjoying, and then it's just all this content that's about, this fear-based content. It's been disheartening to me. I've had to change some of my channel preferences and what I watch, but that's okay. Like, that's their channel. They can do whatever they want to on their channel. But I know that it is kind of discouraging to me. But I just want to encourage you today to know, like I said a minute ago, the Lord holds everything in his hands. Nothing can happen unless he allows it to. And I think the most important thing for us to do is just to the best of our ability, to walk in his will. And I think being in his will is the safest place for us to be too. That doesn't mean that we should just be ignorant and like cover our ears and not know anything that's going on. But I do think it's smart to be prepared. I do think that we've, I don't know, over the past probably at least probably 100 years, 50 to 100 years, we've stopped relying on knowing how to grow our own food, and now we rely on, supermarkets and these big corporations to provide us our food. And I think it's important that we probably maybe take a better or closer look at that, and maybe try to start seeing what we can do on our own and learning new skills and that kind of thing. I think that's a great thing. I mean, it's wonderful, but we don't need to do it just because we're so afraid of what's going to happen, because it will be okay. It's going to be okay. And I have a peace that's going to be okay. And despite all the fear things that I'm hearing, and despite my tendency to be really anxious, I really know it's going to be. But one thing I have had to do is, like I said earlier, I've kind of had to be selective with like what I'm watching, who I'm listening to. Social media, I have to be selective as to how often I'm on social media. I've noticed sometimes when I am on it for longer periods of time, that can have a negative effect on me. And a lot of the things that or the people I follow on social media, they might have little homesteads, or they're mothers, and they have, families like mine possibly, and they have a little bit of land like I do. And a lot of the content is really good and encouraging, but then some of it is just fear-based, you need to prepare now type warning type content. And so I've learned I have to kind of stay away from that to an extent, just for my own peace of mind, as long as I'm doing what I can to do to take good care of my home, take good care of my family. And I'm trying to figure out ways and learn ways to become more self-sufficient, just because I feel like that is a good thing to do. I really do believe that the Lord wants me to become a little more self-sufficient and not so relying on, outside things. But there's always going to be places and things I have to rely on that's beyond the walls of my home, and that's okay. And the Lord has got it. So I've decided just to trust in him and not worry so much as I can anyway. Of course, I'm still human and I still have my moments, but overall, I am really trying my best to just focus on him and what he wants me to do and doing those things. So anyhow, I hope you're encouraged that you don't have to be afraid, that everything is going to be all right, and just continue on doing the things that you believe the Lord wants you to do, and it'll be okay. So today has been a good day. We've gotten our homeschool done early, and I don't know what I'm going to get into today. I cleaned off my bookshelf. I might try to put a little picture of that over here. It's been a big mess. I did that yesterday, and it's like a really big blessing that I got it cleaned up. And I know it's not perfect, and I'm not like an organizational expert by any means, but it looks much, much better than it did. So anyhow, I hope you guys have a really good day, and I will talk with you soon.